The upcoming Friday, May 2nd, battle at welterweight between Devin Haney and Jose Carlos Ramirez will be a test of the measure of faith, according to some things that I've been able to look at closely. Let's talk about this fight from a spiritual standpoint. The Fatal Fury City of Wolves promotion that's going to take place on May 2nd at Times Square will be interesting when we see former champions Devin Haney and Jose Carlos Ramirez face off. These two men are moving up to the welterweight division, and each will have their first fight at welterweight, and it is expected to be the most highlighted fight of the card. When we talk about the elements that will make this a great fight between two men, Ramirez being the elder at 32 years of age and Haney coming into a prime at 26, we're looking at men who have a lot to show for the sport of boxing. And therefore their records that they will present us, Haney being now 31-0 with 15 KOs, and Ramirez being 29-2 with 18 KOs, tells us that they are versed in their sport. Their practices of facing stiff competition speaks for itself. But there is something that I noticed during the presser announcing this fight, where the two fighters came together on the dais, and I noticed that the attire, both were dressed quite casual, but there was something that I saw about Ramirez's attire, and it came to mind something that I saw in a previous Haney promotion from May of 2023, when he faced Vasyl Lomachenko. Lomachenko entered that promotion wearing a shirt that was a depiction of Christ on his shirt, being supposedly a follower of Christ and a man who is devoutly religious. It seemed to me to be a stab and jab at Haney, who is also a man of faith, though he be of the Muslim faith. And when I saw that, I immediately took note of it, and I said to myself, is this a spiritual battle going on? Well, we know how the fight ended between Lomachenko and Devin Haney, but fast forward now to the Fatal Fury card, and there happens to be a repeated situation. On the dais, we get to see Haney dressed casual, and when he took off his jacket, we see Ramirez again sporting a shirt depicting Christ, with the moniker on the shirt reading, "Jesus is King." Now, I know that these two men are men of faith, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when I see them on the dais advertising like this, and when I say they, I'm speaking of both Ramirez and Vasyl Lomachenko, I'm not so certain that this is not a stab directly at the Haney family, men of faith, and their religion. You see, this is a sport of combatants where you pit your wares against the next man. It's not about one man's faith over another. And our Creator, regardless of what our faith and belief systems may happen to be, can look upon us all as his children, with some of us depicted as obedient servants and others who need to be reined in, and others still who are no longer believers or never were believers. But remind me if you've seen these men wear this attire at press conferences on the regular, or is this just something when you're going up against someone who happens to be of Muslim faith? I'm concerned about that because it may be depicting something a little more sinister beneath the surface. If many people saw this for what it is, then you could actually see where I'm coming from with this particular commentary. Now, I am not supporting either of this because of their belief and faith system. I'm going along with what I've noticed about them as career pugilists in the sport of boxing, which I follow and support and report on. But it brings to mind the world that we're in now, where people take jabs and stabs at one another instead of trying to come together. People are becoming more and more separated, but separation in a sense of not doing things for the greater good. It's just food for thought and something that I thought that I would speak on, because if this be true of what I speak, then that means that the nature of some of these participants needs to be in question. This is Stormy B-Man. Shout out to the mighty LDBC and Liberated Perspective, a third eye view of the world. For more content such as this, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. What are your thoughts? Peace to everyone out there, and everyone please remain safe.